Hello and welcome to the daily Unreal Engine 4 news. Yes.
My favorite engine.
In today's news, there's a game called Soul Calibur 6 using the engine. Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
A tale of
yes.
souls and swords.
Yes.
Agent in Black, Grøh.
This is a new trailer they released a few days ago. This is the character you saw ever so slightly briefly in the first trailer of the game at the very, very end. And now he's revealed for, like properly revealed.
He looks cool.
Yeah, he uses kind of like a dual sword weapon, similar to Darth Maul in Star Wars 1. And
He does.
he can switch to a style where he uses two swords instead of like both connected. And I think that's just something he can do on the fly, kind of like with Ivy in Soul Calibur 3 and 4, just switching between like normal mode and whip mode.
Nightmare.
Another returning character, Nightmare.
Oh,
He's been in almost every Soul Calibur game except for like Soul Calibur 2 and Soul Edge. I don't know, something like that.
he wasn't that one. He was just a costume for Siegfried.
Oh, so sorry, it was the other way around. Like Nightmare was in Soul Calibur 2, but not Siegfried was in Soul Calibur 2. Yeah. Oh yeah. He has a horse, but yeah, horse.
Yeah,
Why
that
not?
looks awesome.
Horse.
He's horsing around.
Looks so awesome. Souls come unto me.
And then Shang Wah.
Shang Wah.
Yay!
Who's very bouncy.
Yes. So
Happy she's back.
a random fun fact: all of the returning characters they're showing in this trailer, I think those are all the new characters for Soul Calibur 1 back in the day. I think Nightmare, Shang Wah, and Kilik, they were the ones introduced in Soul Calibur 1. I don't know if there were any other characters introduced specifically in that game. Oh, Ivy as well. Ivy, of course.
Yeah.
And since I already spoiled it, that's Kilik. Kilik.
My boy.
Also known as the most hated character to ever play against in the Soul Calibur franchise.
Mm-hmm. At least his stupid stick doesn't look anywhere near as long as it does in Soul Calibur 2.
They got a problem with the stick, Ryman?
Yes. Many problems.
Look at the poke. Look at the poke.
Well, I think you just made Kilik very, very, very mad by saying that, Ryman, because if you take a look now, you can, take a look in a few seconds, you'll see his reaction.
Oh, no.
That is his reaction to what you just said, Ryman.
Oh no.
He is not happy. He's not happy.
I think he's not happy because now it's like, oh man, I need to go to the hairdressers now. My hair's too long and he's cut.
Okay, so I have a word or two to say about a thing or two. For instance, let's see. This character. So they actually confirmed that he is Nordic, and the only two Nordic countries using this letter, which is Denmark and Norway.
Hey, that's my country. Hey.
So that would mean, I guess it's safe to say he's from either Denmark or Norway. And, I'm not an expert on history. I don't think anyone ever looked anything like this in any part of Scandinavian history.
He's based on me. That's how I look.
Oh.
I was in a very bad accident, which is why I got this eye here.
His arm looks kind of icy in this picture.
See, it was meant to be.
And if I'm going to be super nitpicky, the announcer says "Grøh." That is not how you would pronounce this letter. He also doesn't roll his R, which you would do in both Danish and Norwegian. And also, I don't think there's a single word or name in those countries where you would have a vowel and then the last letter being an H. I don't think that ever exists. Ever.
That's also true.
So it's just, I get the impression they just thought, oh yeah, Scandinavia, oh yeah, they have this weird letter. Okay, that's it for historical research. Okay, it's all good. It's all nitpicky though.
When I kind of like read it, to me it sounds like when you say like gray in Danish, you say Grøh. So sounds like that to me.
Yeah, if you were to pronounce it in, for instance, Norwegian, it would be Grøh. But the announcer says Grøh, which is, I think that's very different than it would be.
Yeah.
Also, just random side note, I kind of feel like it doesn't really fit the Soul Calibur style in general.
I hate using this expression, but he looks a little too anime.
Yeah, I feel like if I just saw saw a few pictures of him and I didn't know where it was from, I would probably guess, oh yeah, he's probably a new villain in like a Final Fantasy game. He just doesn't fit this game at all. And one random note is that whenever he activates Soul Charge, he kind of goes like Dante style, and his hair goes completely white with like red highlights. I think normally it's grayish with blue highlights, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like.
And that's Nightmare. He has a horsey. I think the horsey only appears during his critical edge, aka super move.
Okay, Sectus.
What?
Did you watch a recent gameplay video by a Maximilian dude that went into a bit more detail?
Yeah, I watched through that.
All right, so can we touch on something with Nightmare? What happens when you break his armor?
We will get to that eventually. We will get to that eventually.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I wanted to touch on Kilik. So he goes evil. He goes very evil. Let's skip to the evilness.
Mm-hmm.
Evil, evil, evil. There we go. Very evil. Very evil. First of all, he looks. I kind of feel like in this form, he looks suspiciously a lot like the what's it called, Neckali or something in Street Fighter 5. The weird bad guy who's a sheep.
Yeah.
Also, it's just like some kind of weird trope with, well, anything made in Japan where if you become evil or powerful, your hair goes crazy. Is that just a law in Japan?
It must be, because you see it all the time.
Yeah.
When Capcom for Street Fighter 4 added Evil Ryu, his hair was also longer.
And of course, what Akuma's hair is like now in Street Fighter 5.
He's just a lion.
And I think
exactly.
Maybe the biggest example is like Dragon Ball Z. When people go crazy there, their hair go very, very crazy.
Yeah, but it's normally the good guys that get the long hair.
Well, he's a good guy.
Now.
But he's turning evil here, clearly.
He's smacking Shang Wah around.
But what I wanted to mention about this is that this is actually his soul charge form. Like whenever he enters soul charge mode, which is something you had in early Soul Calibur games, like 1, 2, and 3, he will enter that form during the soul charge thing.
Okay.
So I was when I first saw that, I was very worried this would actually be its own character, like with Omega Pyrrha in Soul Calibur 5, but that's not the case. That is his soul charge form.
Again, please. No.
Yeah, if that was the case, I don't think they would have shown the regular Kilik transforming into him. And
it has a quick video showing the different critical edges, which are in the demo. So that's Nightmare critical edge. I think that was also shown in the trailer. With
Horsey.
It looks so awesome.
These animations look fancy, but I'm a little bit worried they may be a bit too long for normal gameplay. I feel like they might break up the pacing a bit too much.
That also, was Xianghua with her armor broken, showing
yep, yeah, that's
a lot of skin.
Oh yeah, that's also Mr. Ruger without his armor.
Yeah.
Armor break.
Does he have to... Can we see the bullet mark now? Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. He looks like Kiryu from Yakuza.
I don't know if this is always Kilik's critical edge, or if he has a different one, if he's not using soul charge.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think he uses his normal one in his trailer.
It does? I thought you only saw the soul charge one in the trailer.
No, I think it's like in the middle of it, he does like a lot of rapid strikes to someone in the air.
Yeah, it is IGN who made that video. Let's see. Oh, okay. I want to just quickly go to where Kilik does the thing you talk about, because I'm curious about the Kilik thing.
Yeah.
It'll be here eventually. We'll eventually see Kilik.
All in due time.
I can mention quickly that when Kilik is in soul charge, he can do his super whenever without using meter, but it'll drain his health instead.
Ooh. Yes.
Okay, let's look out for the super. I'm looking for super, don't see any super so far. I can mention one random thing about Kilik. You see what he's wearing there?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That is the Hubbalahubble, which I kind of forget the name of. So part of Soul Calibur lore, I think the backstory for Soul Calibur 1 is that he kind of went mad one time due to the evil seed, which was like an event related to Soul Edge, and he went mad and he kind of killed everyone at this temple he was in. So now he's wearing this to like control like his anger or whatever, which is weird because he's wearing this and he still goes into the evil Kilik mode.
Plus, I mean, I guess he was really mad because that thing kind of goes through his hand.
Oh yeah. He's kind of forgotten how to use it. Oh, I also want to mention one quick thing while we're looking at this. His hair.
Yeah, he's got a ponytail. Yeah,
his hair is tied. One kind of neat thing is that when he goes into crazy mode with the soul charge, where he goes crazy hair, his hair is untied. When he exits soul charge mode, he will then return to this form with the hair untied.
Huh.
I thought that was kind of neat. Okay, super. Where's the super? Super. Is that a super? Super.
No, not yet.
Super.
There we go.
Oh, this is it, yeah.
Oh yeah, that does look super. Okay, so I guess he's the only revealed character so far with 2 supers.
Yay.
Okay, let's just... whoop, that's the wrong thing. Let's just show some random footage while doing some more babblings. There's a bunch of details which were revealed late last month, which we didn't touch, like stuff from interviews. They mentioned briefly that this game has been in development for roughly 3 years.
Oh.
And apparently there's been a lot of troubles during development, like Harada tweeted about this and said that it kind of sounded like the game was close to being cancelled because of the troubles they went through. And the current producer, like the current lead producer, he was the one who like volunteered to try to continue the production of the game, and he previously was the lead producer on Tekken 7. We might have mentioned this in the previous podcast. I just can't remember.
I think because that was one of the fact that the Tekken 7 producer is now headlining this project. We did cover that last time.
And they also mentioned a couple of other people working on the game. The director is someone called Yoshiyuki Takahashi, who he's apparently done nothing for Namco in the past, which makes it surprising that he has the director role.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And someone called Mishinori Ozawa is also a producer on the game. He was also a producer on Soul Calibur 4 and 5. I am suspecting that this game has a lot of new people working on it, considering like the stuff I just mentioned. Also, Pokken having a ton of Soul Calibur people working on it, and also Smash Games a couple of years ago also had Soul Calibur people working on it.
But new people aren't necessarily always a bad thing.
No.
Fresh blood's a good thing.
I think usually it means they'll do something very different from the previous games, which, I mean, again, it isn't necessarily bad. And I think in this case, they specifically needed to do something different than Soul Calibur 5. I don't think the direction they were going in with that game was a good thing.
That's still the weirdest thing in the world.
And I think it's worth mentioning that I think we can definitely expect them to do character reveals every single month. They did that with Soul Calibur 5. They almost did that with Soul Calibur 4. Like, they did that monthly, except for, like, the winter of 2006, I think it was, or 2007.
Okay.
And we've gotten some very specific details now about how Reversal Edge works, what was shown in the very first trailer of the game. So apparently, actually, did we touch on this in the previous podcast as well? Did we have specific thing back then?
I think we had ideas.
Yeah, I'm not sure we had much specifics on the Reversal Edge system at that time. So
anyway, I think I can now pretty much explain the entire thing. So you will start by holding down Reversal Edge button. When you do that, you will block every single attack which is thrown at you, like throws, lows, mids, highs, verticals, horizontals, whatever. You will block everything. And when you let go of the button, you will then do a very quick vertical slash against the opponent, and if that hits, you enter the clash mode with Reversal Edge, where it becomes slow motion and each character can do one input. And this is basically like a rock, paper, scissors thing, but instead of 3 options, there's like 20 options. You can like sidestep, move forward, attack horizontal, attack vertical, throw, guard impact, guard. etc. And they will have different results depending on what the opponent does. For instance, I think like if you do horizontal, that will obviously like beat sidestep. So that means you will become the winner of the clash, and you will do some damage at the very end. But for instance, I think if one guy does an attack, the other guy backs away, then the clash just ends right there. And certain attacks will end in a tie. And I think, whenever you get a tie, the clash basically restarts. And if you get a tie if you get 2 ties, then the guy who started the reversal edge will win the clash. I think that's how it works.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of the system, but one good thing is that it sounds like it is fairly easy to avoid. I think it was Maximilian who mentioned that the reversal edge attack has pretty bad range, and it's vertical, so if you just sidestep or back away as someone is doing it, then you have a chance to like punish it.
Good. That's good.
Okay.
So, Iso, you played a lot of Kilik, right?
Yeah.
A Nightmare?
Since Calibur 2.
Not Nightmare? Also Nightmare? Not Nightmare? Only Kilik in this, like among the characters
Calibur
revealed?
2, I was mainly Kilik, but I also did play a little bit of Nightmare.
So based on the footage we've seen so far, can you say anything meaningful about like their moves? Can you see a lot of new moves, changed moves? I am not familiar with this character, so I can't say anything meaningful.
Well, Nightmare still looks very Soul Calibur 4 or 5 based. He does seem to have a few of his Soul Calibur 2 moves. As for Kilik, he looks basically like I expect him to. He doesn't seem to have much new, other than the Soul Charge thing.
Yeah.
Speaking as someone who fought against Kilik a lot, I recognize a lot of Kilik moves.
Yeah, this same here, but I never played as him, so...
There was some new move from Nightmare here, like
Okay.
the counter animation here. I don't recognize that.
Okay, so, well, some tweaks up, some new stuff.
Oh, horsey time.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling that, like, I mean, they do look cool, but I hope they won't destroy the pacing too much. It's something I felt was the case in Soul Calibur 5, that the supers, while they look cool, I didn't like that they made the pacing slower of the game.
I also see that Nightmare's critical edge is not a guard impact anymore, like it was in 5. At least it doesn't look to be. It looks like he just does it now.
All of the super animations are just different from Soul Calibur 5 so far, right?
Yeah, I don't recognize
Nightmare
any reuse.
definitely did not have a horse in Soul Calibur 5. I remember that.
Well, that's like
I would remember the horse.
definitely new.
I'll mention one thing quickly. I mean, we can't really show this off in the podcast, but the music for this stage is a song called Wings of Faith, and it is a arranged version of Wings of Faith from Soul Calibur 1, which was in that game as well.
That's awesome.
I mean, it is pretty clear they're going with a style of basically reimagining Soul Calibur 1, like all of the characters returning so far. They're using similar outfits as Soul Calibur 1, like the music, as I mentioned. It's very much based on Soul Calibur 1, this game.
I'm very okay with that.
Maybe it's time to... Oh, yeah. I had some more footage, I forget. This shows a little bit of gameplay of
Shang Wah.
Shang Wah. Again, I haven't really ever played as her, so I can't say anything meaningful about her moves.
Did you notice how specific the positioning of the characters was in the character selection screen?
It seems kind of arbitrary to me where they were placed. I will get to the character select screen a little bit later during this podcast. I have things to say about that.
Okay.
Well, I've never played as Xianghua. I've really, really liked just the way she moves. It kind of looks like dancing mixed with sword fighting.
That it does.
Looks very
even
fancy.
got tassels, on this costume.
What was the reversal edge.
Fun.
Let's see, I'm trying to go through my notes, see if there's anything important I should mention.
I'm just looking at Xianghua right now to see if there's something different-ish I can spot.
Oh yeah, there was a Spanish video last month where they had been able to interview the developers, and from that video he mentioned that the characters for this game would be a lot of returning characters from Soul Calibur 1 and 2, with a few returning from Soul Calibur 3. I was surprised, like, do they really reveal that kind of details in just a random interview? But if that's the case, like, that is very good news, I think.
That makes me very happy.
Although
very happy.
They specifically did not mention Soul Calibur 4 there, so I guess that would mean no Hilda, no Dampierre, no Algol.
I take it back. I'm really sad now.
But I think there's a chance, like, maybe there was some kind of mistranslation thing. Maybe that was just something the guy was speculating, and that wasn't directly from the interview.
Potentially. We'll just have to wait and see, basically. That's all we can do.
Also want to quickly mention the Passion Republic concept art we looked at in the previous podcast, which were a supposed leak from 1 or 2 years ago. That concept art did show off Nightmare and Kilik, but the designs are completely unlike what's in this game, so who knows, maybe that concept art was always just not actual concept art for this game.
Just random doodles.
Oodle doodle. Okay, let's move on to random pictures.
Okay.
My boy.
Oh yeah, this is the screenshots. I have a ton of screenshots there. I should have been showing this while mentioning random notes, but I'm starting to run out of the random notes. I'll just quickly go through some of these screenshots. Very fancy water effects. Is that part of her critical edge? I don't know.
It looks to be.
Ooh.
Nightmare being all evil.
Again, Japan reaffirming that color is the purple. Purple is the color of evil.
This is a Grøh.
Oh my!
I also think, like, his colors are very mundane. Like, he's not a very colorful character.
Yeah.
At least he has some color here. Also, although this effect is weird. Like, these blue lines look kind of sci-fi-ish to me. I saw one guy speculate that, like, due to his design, maybe he is literally sci-fi. Maybe he went back in time using a time machine. But I don't think.
I mean,
I don't think it would be that crazy.
The markings that he has, like the energy effects, it does kind of look similar to Kilik's Soul Charge.
Oh yeah, that's true. And
so maybe he does have something.
And it's worth mentioning, there was this supposed leaker who wrote a bunch of stuff before the game's announcement, and he very much specifically talked about Grøh and said that he has a dual sword weapon, so he got that, like, perfectly right. He also mentioned specifically, like, this is a rival of Kilik in the storyline. So that would add up with what you said, with the markings being closer to Kilik's.
They look very similar.
I feel like one change they should have done with Kilik is remove his staff, so it's easier to fight against. Would have been okay with that. And here we have Nicholas or whoever. Again, I forget his name is from Street Fighter 5.
He is mad.
He's very mad.
He's also mad.
Yeah, a different kind of mad. Horsey.
He has a horse.
She has very fancy effects, and she's much more colorful.
I love how she looks, I really do.
Yeah, they did a good job.
The color on her outfit and the effects are fancy, and I'm pleased.
Okay, now it's time for random picture time. So this is Grøh in armor break. He kind of lost all of his armor. Whoopsie. And this is, well, we saw this briefly in one of the videos, Mitsuru with armor break. They seem to go with the kind of style that they just mostly lose everything during armor break. And speaking of
Calibur.
Losing a lot of armor, here is Nightmare in his with armor break. So some people might recognize this. This is Siegfried. And well, part of the story, like, Nightmare was basically Siegfried between, like, Soul Calibur 1, 2, and 3. I think Soul Calibur 3 was the first game where he, like, in the story, finally broke free from his Nightmare form.
That is correct.
So, I mean, this kind of begs the question, since they're actually willing to reveal Nightmare as Siegfried, which is something they never really did ever, except for Soul Calibur 2, where Nightmare Siegfried was literally the same character. Maybe they'll do that again here, where there is no Siegfried. Rather, Siegfried is part of Nightmare. Like character-wise.
I get the feeling that's gonna be the case.
I feel like it would be kind of crazy. Like Siegfried, he's one of the signature Soul Calibur characters, isn't he?
Yeah, pretty much. And like we got back into the swing of things of him basically being himself again. I mean, he even got to star in that Wii game, Legends.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we don't talk about that.
So, yeah, it would be interesting and kind of crazy if they actually do the same thing as Soul Calibur 2 and Nightmare Siegfried. They are the same character. There's no Siegfried to choose on the character select.
That'll make me kind of sad because Siegfried is kind of like one of my mains, and Nightmare doesn't look to have a lot of his moves.
Yeah,
But
I heard some people say that Nightmare had gotten a few moves back, which were originally Siegfried's moves in the footage we've seen so far.
oh, bananas.
But then again, like Mitsurugi has also gotten a lot of his moves back, which he lost in Soul Calibur 5. So I think it's just just in general they're going back to like the bigger movesets which they used to have pre Soul Calibur 5.
Wait, really? They actually made them smaller over time?
They made them smaller specifically with Soul Calibur 5. Like Soul Calibur 5 had drastically smaller movesets than any other Soul Calibur game.
Huh. Wow, I never realized that.
And this is something they showed on the demo, a brief list of a couple of moves. I don't know if this would tell you anything, if you're familiar with Kilik's moves.
That looks just like stuff I know.
Okay, I'll just quickly go through this,
Yeah.
but not tell us too much. Mitsurugi and Sophitia. I guess people who want to look at this, just pause the video now. And again, Nightmare and Grøh.
I'm living in a nightmare.
And someone noted this, that the illustration they're using for Nightmare Soul Calibur 6 is actually based on a sketch made for Soul Calibur 5. Like the
Really?
pose specifically. So I found that kind of interesting.
Huh.
And someone took a picture of the main menu you could very briefly see in the demo.
It's like the game's still in development or something.
Doesn't look to have a lot of content. Pre-order cancelled. Oh my god.
I don't know if there's anything meaningful to say about it. Like, it uses a very similar style as most of the Soul Calibur menus, where you have a main menu and then it branches into sub menus.
You know, the weird thing is, like, seeing that boat, well, the ship there, it makes me think of, like, Soul Blade's intro.
Yeah.
Like, before it kicks into the song.
I don't know if it's even worthwhile trying to speculate what these options could mean. Like, is this a flag, book, maybe story mode, character, maybe create a soul? I think this is battles, this is battle. A crown? I don't know. I like crowns, though. A coin, maybe some kind of online shop. Bow and arrow, practice mode, options, and some kind of eye. I have no idea. I don't know. It's kind of hard to speculate based on this.
Yeah, that could be anything.
I will say, though, team battle should be right here.
Please.
This better be team battle right here. Just saying, just saying.
Please. Please, Namco. You left it out of Tekken 7. Please have it in Soul Calibur.
And here's the very in-depth pause menu, which might be the most placeholdery thing in this entire thing. Like, I am willing to bet this menu will not look like this in its final form. This looks kind of...
Probably not,
yeah.
no.
And this is the options you see when you press versus. This is
Battle type.
This is super similar to the menu you see in Soul Calibur 5 when you start a versus match. But yeah, as I just mentioned, the different thing is battle type. That was not in Soul Calibur 5. That could be a return of extra battle, which was in Soul Calibur, I think 2 and 4, where you had weapons which would have they would change the gameplay. They would have stats attached to them, like weapons and gear. It might be a return to that.
That would make sense.
Or maybe this is where it goes from standard to team battle.
Also potentially, I would like that.
I want team battle.
Yeah. And make it online if you can.
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for the random pictures I had included. So I also as with the reveal of Mitsurugi and Sophia, I have prepared a comparison of what they look like in each game. So let's start with Grøh. This is how he looked like in Soul Calibur 6.
But Zach, does he... No, actually, I want to see where this goes.
Well, and this is also how he looked like in Soul Calibur 6. Yeah, he was only in one game, so yeah. Let's move on. This is Kilik in Soul Calibur 1. So you might remember I talked about his hubble, which you see here. Also in Soul Calibur 1. This is the only other game where he was wearing that. Normally he would instead wear a small pendant.
Yeah.
And if you take... you should also take note of the pattern on his pants. Because this very similar to his Soul Calibur 6 design.
That's true.
Soul Calibur 2 wearing pendant instead of the holo.
Oh yeah,
Soul Calibur 3.
I love that. This
So-
is my favorite. This is my favorite design.
Yeah, I was just thinking that like he was just wearing this long coat instead of those like those big gems in Soul Calibur 2. But I actually forgot about the pendant.
These are kind of weird to have on your knee, I think. Just my opinion.
I never noticed until now.
And Soul Calibur 4. I think this outfit looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that's also a really good design.
And cover your eyes. Kilik in Soul Calibur 5.
I get the feeling that's not actually him.
It is.
That's Kilik. That's Kilik. And you
What?
can note he has a staff, which he never uses because he's a mimic.
Use it.
Mimic.
He's a male mimic, Ryman.
Yeah. It was kind of weird. Like there are 3 mimics, so he was mimic for all male characters, Elysium was mimic for female characters, and then Edge Master was mimic for all. So that's kind of silly.
I remember unlocking him in 5 and going, "Oh my boy!" And then I try and I'm like, "What did they do to you, Kilik?"
I can remember that when I can remember there was a lot of worry about the roster for Soul Calibur 5 before it was released because hey, there's a lot of characters not returning here, and then at launch, well, I think just before launch, people were able to like figure out what the secret characters were, and holy shit, people exploded once they realized, oh, Kilik is a mimic. There are 2 other mimics. There are extra versions of Paterculus and Pyrrha. Like that was not happy. That was not a happy day for Soul Calibur fans in general.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
And Kilik in Soul Calibur 6.
Back to form.
And
10
this
out of 10.
is super similar to his Soul Calibur 1 outfit.
I still just want to praise the artist. I love how the drawing looks.
Yeah, I really like the especially like the perspective and poses used for the Soul Calibur 6 illustrations. I think those look super cool.
So gorgeous.
And moving on, this is Nightmare. Soul Calibur 1 illustration looks kind of simplistic in a way compared to later illustrations. It is kind of hard to compare this to his Soul Calibur 6 art because this just looks simple in comparison. Although I will specifically mention, remember his helmet because that looks very similar to his Soul Calibur 6 helmet.
Okay.
The rest is kind of hard to compare.
Isn't
Because
it
of the
a bad
style.
idea to hold a giant blade with your little tiny hand up there?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, remember in For Honor, like they would actually hold the blade end of their swords a lot because they're just so heavy.
True.
Yeah, and I've actually read about sword style. I don't think that was uncommon, like holding the blade in your other hand for certain moves. And this is Nightmare in Soul Calibur 2, Soul Calibur 3.
Oh my god, the arm is growing further along his
The
body.
shoulder's kind of weird, and yeah, and then we have Soul Calibur 4, where like his belly has teeth. That's very, very.
That reminds me of Jinpachi from Tekken 5.
Oh yeah, that's true. And Nightmare in Soul Calibur 5.
That's better.
Yeah, I think that's one of his cooler designs.
That's a good design. I like it.
Then Nightmare in Soul Calibur 6.
And I would say this could potentially become my favorite design.
I'm not a huge fan of the spiky chest. I think that looks a little bit silly, but otherwise I think it looks pretty cool. And if you remember, his helmet looks super similar to his Soul Calibur 1 helmet.
Yeah.
That it does.
Oh, horsey. Unicorn horsey.
Oh, is that why he's got the horn in his helmet?
I believe in him. Don't judge me.
And moving on to Shang Wah. So that is her in Soul Calibur 1.
Speaking of stuff that looks anime.
Yeah.
Aww,
So
cute.
So I'm pretty sure her 6 design is based on this, but one big difference is that in 6 she's got a skirt rather than pants.
Yeah, gotta make him wear less somehow.
And I think the colors are nearly identical and stuffs. This is her in Soul Calibur 2.
That's my
Oh,
favorite
yeah.
design. I love how she looks in this game.
Soul Calibur 3.
Actually, that's my favorite.
Was it the pink?
Maybe.
I like that she's very colorful, and again, like I think her pose and everything looks super cool.
Yep.
Soul Calibur 4.
I never liked this design that much.
I'm okay with it. I think it looks good.
Is that hot pants? Like medieval hot pants?
And fancy pose, always fancy pose with Xianghua.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's the fancy pose.
And Soul Calibur 6. I was going to say 5, but no, she's not in 5.
No, Lexia was in 5.
But yeah, this is. I think this might be the most redesigned outfit from Soul Calibur 1, but it's definitely similar to it.
She's so happy that she's back. Look at her. He's delighted.
We all are, Xianghua. We all are.
And like, I think the artist did an amazing job with the pose and perspective on this one.
Do we know who the artist is?
It's
Like,
the same artist who worked on the illustrations for 2, 3, 4, and 5.
God damn.
I want to quickly check one thing. Okay, I can just remember with, I think it was Mitsurugi, where his face in Soul Calibur 1 illustration was super similar to his face in the Soul Calibur 6 illustration, but not the case with Xianghua.
No, that's a pretty big overhaul.
And then moving on to screenshots, I think this will be a bit more interesting. So this is
boy.
Kilik.
Oh!
I had a hard time getting good screenshots from Soul Calibur 1, but so yeah, here we go. This is Kilik from Soul Calibur 1.
Is this the HD port?
Yeah, for 360. And again, you can see his hobbla hibble. Kilik in Soul Calibur 2.
Ah, yes.
Kilik, you really need to stop getting your hands through your own clothing.
Yeah, a lot of clipping with Kilik, it looks like. This is the like the HD port for Xbox 360 as well.
Also, his thumb on his one hand kind of bothers me.
Did you guys know there was actually a port of Soul Calibur 1 to like iOS?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Soul Calibur Unbreakable Soul was a spin-off game using that as base, the Soul Calibur 1 port.
Oh boy.
Super random fact, this port is actually running on a new engine. It was ported to a new engine rather than like porting the original code.
Oh.
Which
We know what
explains why some of the graphics are a little bit different. Did you ask what engine?
Yeah.
It's an engine which the porting team has made themselves. They use it for other projects. I don't remember the name of it.
Oh wow.
Soul Calibur 3 in PS2 emulator.
Love the design so much. It looks so good.
So rages with strength.
Soul Calibur 4.
Also great.
And
Although I can see that the face he has here, that's like very similar to the one he has in 6.
Yeah. And moving to Soul Calibur 6.
You skipped the 5.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
I accept it.
You know, when I think of Kilik, in addition to the annoyance I've suffered at his hands, I remember his intro where he just sort of spins his staff and goes, "Is there no other way?" In Soul Calibur 2.
It's hard to tell if this is like the same face mesh. The nose looks super similar.
Yeah, they made the eyebrows a little less. What's the word for it?
Well, I guess one reason for the difference might be, I mean, he's supposed to be a bit younger in So 6 because of the whole Soul Calibur 1.
That didn't. I mean, they didn't put that for Sophia. Sophia in 6 looks super identical to her Soul Calibur 4 model. I will say one thing, like the hair model looks very much super similar. Like if you just pay attention to these hair strands, this one hair, and then look at this. Yeah, it's the same.
That's wow.
Super similar. And well, you guys wanted Soul Calibur 5 Kilik? Well, here you go. Soul Calibur 5 Kilik. There you go.
Oh yeah, he's even got the scar on his cheek.
Yeah.
I forgot how stupid he looks.
It's, I don't know, it's weird. I don't understand Soul Calibur 5.
Could you even remove that helmet? I don't even think you could remove it.
I can't remember, maybe in Character Creator, but I'm not sure.
I'll have to boot it up later to check.
And this is Nightmare in Soul Calibur 1. Again, pretty difficult to get good screenshots from Soul Calibur 1. Like, the intros were just moving in such a weird way in that game. Soul Calibur 2.
You know, it's kind of crazy because Soul Calibur 1 was actually a pretty graphically impressive game for the Dreamcast. But the jump from that to 2 is still quite large.
Oh, yeah. I think Soul Calibur 2 holds up extremely well even today.
Yeah.
And Soul Calibur 3
too, when you like give it the HD lift via an emulator, 3 holds up really well too.
Yeah. That said though, like I think Soul Calibur 3 looks good, but I think I actually prefer how Soul Calibur 2 looks like.
That's fair enough. That's absolutely fair enough.
I think something about the lighting and colors in 2 I prefer.
Yeah, I can see that.
Soul Calibur 4 with this stomach.
Hey Jinpachi, how
teeth.
you doing?
Connected only by pure energy.
Can you see the darkness of the abyss?
Soul Calibur 5.
When he was Raphael.
Oh, hang on a second.
What?
Alright, so Soul Calibur 5 Nightmare. See that code at the bottom? Icewave, can you move Jill for a second?
I shall move.
Your madness, how it shines like a beacon. One of the Soul Calibur 6 clips you showed earlier had that exact same line.
Yep. He actually has both of his lines from 5 and 6 so far.
I can remember a lot of people joking that he says, "Your madness, how it shines like a bacon."
Delicious.
I can't remember if he actually kind of says it like that, or if that joke came from nowhere.
Oh!
No, he does say beacon clearly. I remember this line.
Something else we should perhaps briefly touch on. A lot of the footage that has come out recently, it has English voiceover.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I think there was a version of the English first trailer in English as well. I have to say I'm not a huge fan of the English voice acting so far, and the writing. I think I'll very quickly just change it to Japanese when I get the game.
Well, to be fair, I was never expecting much. The English voice acting has never been that great in any of the Soul Calibur games.
Kilik in Soul Calibur 2 is bad.
I just want to quickly touch on Soul Calibur 4. I think still looks pretty good, but Soul Calibur 5 I think did an amazing job with improving the image quality and the lighting.
5 is just crazy to me. Like, it's PS3 and Xbox 360, but put it on a PS4 and you could easily trick me.
They could release this game today, and I think it would hold up great graphically.
How much of a gap was there between 4 and 5?
4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Well, I think more like 3.5 years. And Nightmare in Soul Calibur 6. So this is one crazy thing, is that if you compare the graphics between 5 and 6, I don't think 6 looks that much better compared to 5, to be completely honest.
Yeah, like
especially the character models.
The bone texture on his deformed hand, I'd almost say parts of it look worse than the Soul Calibur 5 one. It's crazy.
It doesn't help that, with the previous podcast where we compared screenshots, it was pretty obvious. A lot of the character models, they are based on the character models from 4 and 5, like even with the same poly count and everything.
But it is probably due to a lower budget.
Yeah, I think that's possible. But all that said, like, I mean, there are better looking fighting games out there right now, I think, with like Injustice 2, but I still think this looks fine overall.
I'm perfectly okay with this.
Based on what you've seen so far, how do you think Soul Calibur 6 compares to Tekken 7? Visually.
It looks very similar. I think we also talked about this in the first podcast. We compared the graphics a little bit. I think I mean, a lot of stuff is rendered the same way, but a big improvement is that Tekken 7, like, it does a ton of post-processing effects like film grain and chromatic aberration, and there's no signs of those in Soul Calibur 6, which I'm really, really thankful for.
You know what I have seen a lot of in Soul Calibur 6 though?
What?
Particle effects.
Oh yeah. I can't remember if Tekken 7 had a lot of those.
It does in the story mode.
And Shang Wah in Soul Calibur 1.
Hey, it's her alternate costume. Wait, go back to that?
Oh.
That looks...
Oh! Skirt? Wait,
I wonder if they took that base...
Wait, no, this is her 2P outfit, right? I think I chose the wrong outfit, whoops.
I wonder if they took that to base it on Soul Calibur 6, because it looks similar-ish.
No. No. Like the colors are super different. Like the sleeves.
Yeah, the colors are, but like okay.
I mean, the skirt part is definitely similar, but otherwise, I think it looks very different. Soul Calibur 2.
Justice will prevail.
Just kidding. Soul Calibur 3.
Pink.
So good.
No, I'm not. I'm not ready for the pink. If I'm perfectly honest.
That shirt texture is stupidly good looking.
Soul Calibur 4.
Her resolve cannot be swayed.
And Soul Calibur 6.
She got happier.
Yeah,
She did.
That is one thing which I will say is a big improvement from Soul Calibur 4 and 5 is that we don't really see it here, but if you pay attention to the videos, the facial animations look really good in Soul Calibur 6.
Yeah, 4 was stiff, from what I remember.
I think this comparison is interesting because I was kind of hoping to see the same angle there. Okay, let's just zoom out. But yeah, I was going to say that, for instance, with Sophia, she looked super similar in 4 and 6, but it looks like they redesigned Xianghua's face a little bit here. Like her face is a little bit more rounded.
Yeah.
I think her nose and mouth is a little bit different, the same with the eyes.
The nose definitely is different. And the eyes are a little lower. Like, they seem a little lower down.
And I also just want to randomly say that Soul Calibur 4, it's a bit of a shame that they kind of went overboard with bloom and some of the lighting could be better, but besides that, like, this could be released today and I think it would still look great.
I wonder how it would look if you could actually turn that off. Like the bloom.
Well, maybe one day in the future when our PCS3 emulation has progressed further, we'll be able to have the answer.
And I want to talk about one thing which I think is the worst part of the graphics in Soul Calibur 6.
Okay.
If you look at the hair, it looks very solid. Yeah, kind of blocky.
Yeah, it could use some alpha.
Yeah.
Is it called?
Yeah, that's right. So there was a big thread about this on Soul Calibur forums, and I tried to do a little bit of research on this. This is actually a big flaw with Unreal Engine 4. By default, this is how it handles alphas. It'll just clamp to the closest value, and it'll clamp to solid or not solid at all. So you get very strong ends to the hair where it's just suddenly solid.
Sounds like some sort of automatic performance saving measure.
No, it's because of deferred rendering, which is a rendering technique basically all modern games use, and it transparency is hard to get working properly with deferred rendering.
Oh.
While in old engines using forward rendering, you can just make sure to render polygons in the correct order, and then transparency will just look completely fine, which I did, for instance, in this game. But yeah. They would have to modify the engine if they want hair to look like this. I think one downside is that it just looks like they tried to use same hair meshes and textures as their older games and just went, okay, sure, let's just UE4 does its thing, and its thing is make it look kind of bad.
Well,
I don't even remember how hair looks in Tekken 7.
It has the same flaw. I looked it up when I did research. It also has the same flaw as this.
Okay.
They have time. Oh wait, you said Tekken 7 has the same flaw.
Yeah. If you look at other UE4 games, this is actually a very, very common problem. There's very few UE4 games with good-looking hair, and some games just has really weird solutions. For instance, if you look at the hair in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, it uses dithering to represent transparency and looks super ugly.
Yeah, it does.
And then you have games like Paragon and Injustice 2, where they've gotten around the problem by just designing hair specifically for that kind of rendering. And their solution is to basically make the hair extremely complex and like have a ton of different strands and everything. And in those games, the hair does look good, even though it technically has the same transparency limitation.
In unrelated news, I hope everyone's ready to say bye-bye to Paragon.
Oh yeah, that was... they announced that'll be taken down.
Yes.
Because I imagine they'll want to focus on Fortnite instead.
Yep, that is exactly the reason they gave.
Let's see,
and now back to Soul Calibur.
Oh yeah, I was going to say I want to compare it to a Soul Calibur 1 outfit, but I forget I took a screenshot of the wrong outfit.
Oh well.
Okay, moving on to other news.
Okay.
Stage select.
Oh.
So this is 12 slots, right?
Yes.
I can't remember how many stages were in previous games, but 12? That sounds fine to me. I mean, I don't think I care too much about stage variety. I mean, it's nice to have some variety, but I care more about like returning characters than anything else.
Agreed.
Yeah, normally in fighting games, I pick a stage that has like my favorite music on it. So in the case of Soul Calibur 2, the level that plays Confrontation, yep, that's the one.
I always say, well, I usually chose Talim's stage in Soul Calibur 2. I liked, I forget the name of the song, something with wind.
Wind!
Sure, yeah, that's the name of the song, Wind.
Just wind.
No, it's just whenever someone mentions Talim, I just remember her English voice work.
I think in Soul Calibur 2, I always picked Young Sung's stage because I really like the theme in that one.
And just as a reminder, this is the roster speculation we did last month.
I still think that's a very...
Oh my god, there's 2 of everyone.
So, so this was a suspected size of 24 characters, and 3 of these we thought would be guest characters, maybe potentially like 1 guest character per platform.
So yeah, I had a thought about that. Do we think PC would get a guest character exclusive?
Gordon Freeman.
Probably
Yeah, like
not, to be honest.
Yeah, like who would it be even?
I don't know, like other games have done a bad job with it, like that Sega Racing game where they added characters from Total War and a football game.
Yeah, basically just random other games that Sega published on PC.
And it also had Valve characters from Team Fortress.
Yeah, Team Fortress characters.
And then we also had this variant with 28 characters in total.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This roster, I think, would be pretty good. Maybe replace Huang with Yun Seong.
That would be the likely outcome.
And then we get this. This is the character select screen from Soul Calibur 6 from demo footage.
Right, so...
There are only 20 slots here. That's a low amount of slots. I mean, if 2 of these slots are going to be random and create a soul, that means 18 characters in total here. I wanna quickly say they said in an interview that the amount of slots you see on this screen does not represent the total amount of characters in the game. But it's hard to tell if that's just PR speak. Maybe they say, oh yeah, there will be 21 characters, not 20. And
well, they have room here to add another circle in the corners.
Yeah, and also I think in the middle would obviously be some kind of button. But I don't think they could add too much before they start occupying the space where the characters would be, or this text down here. There's also the thing like, hey, maybe this is all placeholder, but I mean, this screen also animates very well in motion, and like it also fits with also the rest of the game. So I kind of feel like this is the style they will go with, and I also don't think the quantity of slots is is placeholder because, I mean, it's pretty obvious. The entire team, they know how many characters will be in the game. So it would be really weird for them to choose an arbitrary amount of slots rather than the amount of slots which would correspond to the roster. And I'll just randomly do this.
Oh, no. Oh, God. What's the buttons? What's the buttons for this again?
Hold Control and right-click to select characters. I'll just try getting some of this out of the way. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, but one thing I want to do is that I mentioned this briefly earlier, that this guy who's been supposedly leaking info about the game, he's gotten some stuff wrong, but he's gotten some stuff right. For instance, he mentioned specifics about the new character, which ended up being 100% correct. And he's also mentioned details about characters he's saying will be in the game based on like his unknown sources. I just want to quickly go through the characters he has supposedly leaked. So Take is one of them. If I can just find Take anywhere here. Maybe this will be like a contest. You can find the character first.
It's right here. Got her.
Okay, you can move it into place. And then the next one is Siegfried, which will be good news for Ice Wave.
Oh, my boy.
Oh god,
Found him.
Did you find it? Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Ice Wave is pretty good at this. And then Astaroth is another one. Oh, I found him. And Cervantes is another one. That's Cervantes.
Oh, there he is.
And Sasalamel. Found him. And Tira.
She's over here. Got
okay,
her.
You get her. And then Talim.
Is this her?
Yeah,
That's Talim.
that is Talim.
Yes.
And then Moxie.
It's right here.
Nunchuck boy himself.
You found Moxie. I'll just ignore that. And Cassandra. I saw her earlier. Oh, there's Cassandra.
With a laptop thing.
And those are the characters he mentioned.
So I'll fix these up.
And you would imagine there is a random button somewhere on the screen and also a Kratos Soul button somewhere on the screen. So if this leak is true, then there are 3 slots unaccounted for. And also with these characters, there's some really big, obvious ones. For instance, you would think Yoshimitsu would be here.
Voldo.
Oh, sorry, I also skipped Ivy. Ivy is among the leaked list. She's a super obvious one. So that only leaves 2 slots actually for this screen.
So Voldo and who else?
Oh yeah, that's Voldo. Raphael might also be a semi-obvious one. Maybe Sung Mina as well. Setsuka as well. Yun Sung as well. Those are like people who have been on almost every game. Oh, and I think it's like to say 1 slot will be a guest character, that being Jar Jar Binks.
Misa in the game. Oh yeah.
Now, they haven't announced DLC plans yet, have they?
No, but I mean, Tekken 7 that has 6 DLC characters so far. Soccer 5 had 1 character, and if you look at
Tekken only has 1 so far.
No. Oh yeah, no. Well, 2 Geese and the Sleepy Lady, Sleepy Vampire. She's technically
right, then
DLC.
3 in total.
Yeah.
Because we're Eliza, Geese, and Noctis.
Yeah. And they had 1 for Soccer 5. And if you look at other companies making fighting games, there's a ton of DLC characters. Like Street Fighter 5 has gone completely nuts with DLC characters. I think the upcoming Blaze Blue game, half of the roster will be DLC characters.
Let's not get into that.
And Injustice 2, a bunch of DLC characters. The latest Mortal Kombat, a ton of DLC characters. King of Fighters 14 had a few DLC characters. Dragon Ball 2.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Fighters announced a pass with 8 characters.
8?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And some of them have been data mined, haven't they?
Yeah, one of them has model and everything, so
That's a big circle.
Yeah, the default size of these are kind of big. So I'm just trying to go with obvious spots where they can place new circles, and I feel like there are 5 places where they could easily add some. I think those 5 probably.
Yeah.
And then they could have room for, I mean, like what's the obvious one, like Yoshimitsu would probably be here.
Yeah.
Wherever Voldo is, I think he would be. Oh, that's Voldo.
Oh, you got him.
I'm not sure who else they could add there. There are other things we could consider. It could be the same thing as Soul Calibur 3 and 4, where you have one dedicated button, just get a list of bonus characters. So that's a way they could represent a whole bunch of new characters on the same screen.
That would be smart.
There's another thing we need to take into consideration here. They've only announced one brand new character so far.
Yeah, that is true. I definitely expect we'll see more than one new character, aka like Garfield will be here. Although
My soul still burns for some lasagna.
if you look at, for instance, Soul Calibur 4, that are technically like 2 new characters, Hilde and Algo. That's not a whole lot. And well, I think usually each Soul Calibur game they've introduced between like 2 to 4 characters. I think that's the norm. But yeah, I am super curious about the total character roster size, because if it's really only 20 slots, which will be the final roster in the character select, that is very limiting. That is super limiting. That is much more limiting than what we were thinking in our previous podcasts.
Plus, it'll be like at that size, you can only really disappoint people because it'll be so easy to just accidentally leave out like this character that people really want back.
Yeah, and there's so many iconic characters I almost feel like they should bring back. Like, I really want Hilda to be here. I want Setsuka to be here. Sung Mina, Yun Sung. So many characters.
Yeah. Raphael as well. Lizard Man.
Where's Raphael
That's
anyway?
usually a thing.
Oh god,
Even
Raphael is
so
gone.
It's
Oh,
top
there it is.
left.
Yeah, Raphael is the obvious one. I see a lot of people
Lizard
wanting
Man.
Amy back. And of course, the most iconic Soul Calibur character, Yoda. I'm at least glad that evil Kilik is just part of his normal character, because I would be so sad if this happened again. I don't want this to happen again. Please, no.
That was... Yeah, let's not do that ever again.
But yeah, not sure if there's anything else to say about the roster.
Not till we have more information.
No, we'll have to wait and see what we...
if they're going to do guest characters again, I'm so curious to see who they get.
Yeah, I'm curious about that as well. But... I can't remove you guys, I'm sorry.
No worries.
But yeah, just to go back, like, this is the roster we know of so far. I think one of you guys mentioned like the placement of characters on the screen. Did you find that to be noteworthy?
Yeah, like why are they placed where they are? Basically,
actually,
is what I'm wondering.
Kilik and Grøh kind of make sense. If they're rivals, then they're like the placement is symmetrical.
I'm a little surprised that Shang Wah and Kilik aren't like closer.
Yeah. I mean, aren't they a couple according to the storyline, right?
Wait,
yeah,
what?
something like that.
Yeah. In Soul Calibur 5, isn't it so that Shiba is the son of Leisha and of Xianghua and Kilik?
I don't remember if it's him or it's Lexia.
I think Leisha is the daughter of Xianghua and her husband, which isn't Kilik.
Oh.
I think that's how it went. So, I mean, like Kilik and Grøh, their placement makes sense. By the same token, maybe this would be where Siegfried is.
Yeah, I could see Siegfried be at the top left, and then like the big boss of the game be in the middle, and the Nightmare on the top right.
Yeah. And if Kasana is in the game, she could be right next to Sofita or one of the bottom ones. Otherwise, I can't make any sense out of these positions.
I mean, they might also just put them wherever they want. Tekken 7 kind of doesn't make sense with how it puts some of the characters, so...
And thinking back to previous Soul Calibur games, I don't know if they've ever like had a lot of symmetry between positions of characters.
I think sometimes they kind of do, but other times they do just seem to kind of just throw them.
There's one thing we didn't really consider in our previous podcast where we speculated about characters.
Oh.
And that is how, in most of the Soul Calibur games, you have to unlock characters.
Oh, right.
I think it's Soul Calibur 1, 2, 3, and 4 that was the case, not in 5.
I think so even in 5, actually, with Alpha Petroglus and...
Oh, yeah. They, like, those characters had to be unlocked, yeah. But I think most of the roster in 5 were locked from the beginning. But with the earlier games, like, roughly half of the roster had to be unlocked. And, like, maybe the locked characters would usually be less significant, like, less important than the characters which were unlocked from the get-go. I don't know if that would give some kind of hint, potentially.
Well, hang on. So, okay, so what do a lot of other fighting games do when it comes to locking and unlocking characters recently? Like stuff like Tekken 7 or Street Fighter 5, that sort of thing.
I don't think there's a lot of unlocking in those games. Is there any?
Street Fighter 5, technically, because you can earn enough fight money to buy a character instead of having to like use actual money for it. So I guess that's kind of unlocking, but there's no unlocking by like beating a specific mode.
But yeah, I was gonna randomly mention, for instance, in Soul Calibur 4, if I can just make this image load a little bit faster. The characters...
Tekken 7 definitely didn't have any. So,
for instance, Soul Calibur 4, the characters you had to unlock were Lizard Man, Sophitia, Amy, Setsuka, Yunsung, Songmina, Rock, Cervantes, Talim, Yoshimitsu, Sasonwell, and Algol.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any hint like those are the characters who might be less likely to be in the game. Although I just mentioned Sophitia, she's in the game. But yeah, that was just a random thought I had. Like maybe that could be potentially seen as some kind of hint.
A little, I could see maybe Yoshimitsu being omitted because he is more the goofball.
Yeah, he has been in every game though, or almost every, and he's been in every Tekken game.
And he gets weirder and weirder per every game.
Yeah,
He's a squid.
It would just be nice if they actually went with a gigantic roster, just included everyone. That would simplify things.
That would be what I would prefer.
Of course, maybe one of the reasons the roster might be smaller is because of what you were talking about earlier about the development troubles and the supposedly smaller budget you touched on.
Yeah, I would be super curious to know what happened during development. And I think what you said is super likely that they had to make some sacrifices due to development being bad, like not going smoothly. It would be super bad if we got the same situation as, for instance, Soul Calibur 5, which ended up having a rather short development time.
Oh,
I think that was like between 1 and 2 years.
It's actually pretty impressive how the game turned out then, because it worked.
Yeah,
it wasn't a great package.
and it felt polished.
Yeah, like it wasn't the greatest game ever made or anything, but like it was polished. It worked. It was fun enough to play. It looked fantastic.
And the stuff they said that didn't have time to finish, I don't care too much about. For instance, they said that the story mode in the game is 1/3 of what they had planned. I don't want to play a story mode which is 3 times the size of the one in the final game, because that story mode is painful. It is so bad.
Ah, you look kind of evil. You must be a Malfested. I will now kill you.
Oh no! It wasn't evil. It was dirty, wasn't it? You look dirty. I must kill you.
I don't even remember. I don't even.
It's so bad. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We've gone through all of my notes. We've talked about stuffs in the game.
Stuffs.
Yay.
And
Super.
I imagine we'll get more news next month and more characters revealed next month.
Yes, please.
I heard
Steady trickle of news as we get closer to release.
I heard someone mention a rather obvious thing. Next month we'll have Valentine's Day. Maybe we'll see a certain character with Valentine in their name then.
I can see Bandai Namco being that cheesy, yeah.
I could actually see them do that too.
Just no ads that emphasize her boobs this time, okay?
Didn't they have a similar ad with Voldo?
Yep.
Oh god. Oh lordy.
Yeah, none of that either.
Yeah,
Especially
just none of Voldo, period, please.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Okay, I think that's it, and I'll see you guys next time.
Yay! And keep an eye out for the official FluffyQuack Soul Calibur 6 tier list.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in front. Cool.